Underdog Fantasy has changed it up again. They have added even more lines that you could attack with your higher or lower to make some money. And we're going to dive in. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks. And what I'm going to do is break down my favorite Underdog Fantasy entries for UFC 298. If you don't know what Underdog Fantasy is, it's daily fantasy. You come in here, you say higher or lower than the numbers you see on the screen, and you could 20 times your money. You could get up to 100 times your money depending on the lines that you play. And the best part is they will give you free money to play. The only thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/underdog, use promo code WWP, and they will instantly match your deposit. If you give them $20, they'll give you 20. If you give them $100, they will give you $100 instantly that you can use to build an entry. And then you can 100 times that money and then withdraw all of it and ride off into the sunset for like a week. That money won't last very long. But wewantpicks.com/underdog, promo code WWP. Let them instantly match your deposit. I mentioned it. They've added some lines. Let me scroll down just a touch because we'll see it right here with Volkanovski. We always had the chili pepper bonuses on finishes because they want to trap you. So, for example, half a finish, meaning if Volkanovski wins by finish, they'll give you 1.5 times your money on the whole entry. But now they have added unders on that. They now have lower on finishes. And yes, it's not quite 1x. It's not a multiplier. It's a detractor. It's down. But these are fantastic because how many times have we seen for example, Alexander Volkanovski, if he wins this fight, he's not going to win by finish. It'll likely be a long, drawn-out, 5-round, typical Volkanovski fight. But now we can say the less than the finish. So that's an excellent addition to Underdog. They already had a whole bunch of lines that you could attack. So now doing the lower on the finish props as well is fantastic. So let's work our way down. I actually don't like this. I do think the lower is great at 0.65x. So you're still going to juice your line. You're still going to make some money, and that's close to a short thing, and you could put 5 of these together. But I am going to avoid it because while I do think Alexander Volkanovski wins this fight, while I do think he will win a decision, which is what this line says here, there's still a lot of stuff that can go on, and we haven't fully seen what Volkanovski is going to look like after getting knocked out. We haven't fully seen what Elliott Topuria is going to look like in a really tough fight. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that fight alone. But if we keep working our way down, similar story with Robert Whitaker. The lower on the finish, that's great. Robert Whitaker, A, has to win this fight, and B, would have to win by finish for us to lose that. And Costa is a very dangerous man and a very durable man. Robert Whitaker's not finishing anybody, let alone Costa. So we'll go ahead and add that to the mix. So if Robert Whitaker loses this fight, we still are good because this is under a finish, and this is on the Whitaker side. This is not on the fight side. If the fight doesn't end in decision, no problem. As long as Robert Whitaker doesn't win by finish, this will hit. Hopefully that's clear. Same logic with the Costa. They don't have the under finish on his side, but you can get some chili peppers and some props on him to win by finish. We're going to leave that alone. We are just going to keep scrolling our way down because the ones that I do like, first of all, let's check in the Merab takedown. See, they don't have a Merab takedown line here, so we'll have to check in Rivals to see what we can do there. But let's work our way down. I promise you, there are 3 of these that I found and that I like. Amanda Lemos, 11.5 fight minutes. I think this fight goes a little bit. The reality is we know how insanely tough Mackenzie Dern is. And yes, Jessica Andrade just bashed her brains in for a little bit. But Jessica Andrade, quite literally, may be the strongest, hardest hitting woman in this division. And that fight still went a little longer. Not insanely long, but it still went a little longer. I think this fight goes a little bit. I think Amanda has good enough jiu-jitsu defense to not get subbed. Good enough takedown defense. I mean, you only need the takedown defense of my daughter to not be taken down by Mackenzie Dern. So she has that. And while her hands are very powerful, we know Mackenzie is very durable. So I think this fight likely goes a little while, and I don't think it's going to end quickly, let alone in under 11.5 fight minutes. Marcos Rogerio de Lima, it's a heavyweight fight. You got to leave this alone. Justin Tafa could knock his head off. Rogerio de Lima could take Tafa down, and Tafa's flopping around on his back, having no idea what to do. Too many things could go wrong in this fight, so we're going to go ahead and leave that out. Rinya Nakamura. What I do like here is the takedown line. They gave him 2 takedowns. Listen, I get Rinya can finish people. He has finished many, many people. But we also just saw In the Fernie fight, he had no problem camping out. He had no problem just riding his way to a decision. And while Fernie Garcia has proven to be insanely tough, Rinya Nakamura should get more than 2 takedowns in this matchup. He's fighting a very good jiu-jitsu guy, so I don't see him submitting there. And then obviously Rinya's got some power on his feet, but I don't think that's where this fight is going to be. So I think we're going to get more than 2 takedowns here. We should hit 3, and we should be good. The rest of these lines are tricky. I think Ming Yang Zhang or Zhang Ming Yang is a bit overrated. 4 fight minutes seems low, but we'll find out quick if he's overrated or not. So we're going to leave that alone. We'll work our way down. Danny Barlow, Josh Quinlan, that's another really good fight. I like the over 8.5 fight minutes here, but again, we're going to leave it. Both of these guys, I mean, Josh Quinlan has a few fights in the UFC, but 2 of them are fast knockouts. He just lost a decision. Danny Barlow is untested. Like, we're going to leave that alone. We're trying to make money here. We're not just grabbing lines to 10x our money for no reason. Let's try to make some money and follow some logic. If you go to Miranda Maverick takedowns, they have 2.5 takedowns on her. So we're going to need 3 takedowns out of her. And while I do think she probably gets to that number, there is better value if we move over to Rivals. So what Rivals does is it takes the 2 people who are fighting each other, and you just have to pick who gets more of X. In this case, let's look at takedowns. They're saying who's going to get more takedowns, Alexander Volkanovski or Elliott Topuria, and it's an even line. They didn't handicap it at all. So who is going to get more takedowns here? You pick your side, and that's it. Let's work our way down. We'll go to the Miranda Maverick fight. Where is it? Andrea Lee and Miranda Maverick. If you go to takedowns, they're giving Andrea Lee 1.5 takedowns. So what this is saying is that Miranda Maverick will need to get 2 more takedowns than Andrea Lee. The reason the line is set up this way, the reason that Miranda Maverick is set at 2.5 takedowns on her own, or only 1.5 when she's stacked up against Andrea, is because Andrea has worked in some grappling in her last couple of fights. She took down Macy Barber 4 times, I believe. I don't think that's going to happen in this fight. I think there's a ground gap. I think Andrea knows that Miranda wants this on the ground. So I don't think Andrea's going to be shooting her own takedowns. I think Andrea will have a striking disadvantage, will use that striking advantage, and will use that striking advantage and stay on the outside, pick apart, not engage in grappling with Miranda. I don't think it's going to be effective. I do think Miranda will get at least 2 takedowns, and I think we're good here. So let's take a look at the entry. I already have an entry built, but let's go ahead and take a look at this. We have Robert Whitaker lower than a finish, meaning Robert Whitaker is not going to win this fight by finish. That's 0.65x on the payout. This is only a 3-round fight, and Robert Whitaker is not really finishing people even when he dominates. So I'm pretty confident in that. Amanda Lemos, over 11.5 fight minutes. I do think this fight goes a little bit longer. Rinya Nakamura, more than 2 takedowns. I believe we can get there. And then Miranda Maverick in Rivals, more than 1.5 takedowns, or 1.5 takedowns on the handicap there. The payout will be, if we throw $20 at this, the payout for the standard is $130. Keep in mind, we have this Robert Whitaker 0.65x here messing with the math a little bit. If we ensure this payout, which means we can get one wrong, Miranda Maverick gets no takedowns in this fight. We'll still turn our $20 into $78, or turn our 20 into 30 if we get one wrong. I love this entry. I already have this entry built minus the Robert Whitaker line, so you can mix and match there. The most important part here is, even if you disagree with the line, go get yourself the free money. Build your own entry. WeWantPicks.com/underdog, promo code WWP. They will instantly match your deposit. Take that free money, build yourself an entry, and you can mix and match sports on the side here.